Have you noticed that your internet connection is not up to its task anymore? This is due to people maybe working at home because of the COVID situation. So you set up your home office, work online, maybe you're doing some Zoom calls, streaming some contents, doing some editing or doing some office work online. Or maybe the students are at home doing online classes because the school is shut down. And as we spend more and more time indoors, kids especially don't want to go outside anymore, or maybe you don't want the kids to go outside anymore because of the pandemic. People are going to start staying inside more just for safety precautions. And as a result, they're going to end up doing a lot more streaming, whether to watch television or staring at the computers or tablets. But there's going to be a lot more streaming involved. And what's going to happen? You're going to end up with a lot of freeze frames or dropouts. And if you're suffering from these side effects of using the internet, what do? You're going to contact your internet provider and says, I need more speed. Give me more speed. So they're going to give you more speed. You're going to pay the additional dollars. And then once you get set up, you notice that you still got dropouts or freeze frames. So basically, it's not just about getting more speed. There's something else that's causing the problems. And that there is going to be what I call bottlenecks. What we're going to want to do is try to hunt down the bottlenecks and try to eliminate them as much as possible. Well, the first item that we're going to concentrate looking at is your internet wiring connection, your hard wire. If you're like most people, you probably never upgraded your wiring for your internet connection. Well, with the advent of newer technologies and higher speed demand, we're going to need better wiring for the internet. You're probably using right now probably Cat5 cables in your system. The minimum requirement right now for 1 gigabyte speed is Cat6 cables. There's Cat7 cables, 8 cables, 9 cable, 10 cables. You don't need anything more than Cat6 cable, but I suggest that for a few dollars more, it's only a few dollars, go and future upgrade yourself and get the Cat7 cable. The Cat7 cable is going to have better insulation, better wiring, better construction, so it's going to be able to handle higher internet speed because it eliminates distortions and wiring deficiencies. So in other words, I suggest go ahead and get the Cat7 cables. Now, it doesn't make sense to go ahead and spend more money and says, hey, I'm going to future-proof myself further and I'll get the Cat 8, 9, 10 cables. That's really not going to accomplish much. You're just paying more money for basically nothing. Cat 7 is going to future-proof you for well into the next decade. Second item you want to look at, and that's a possible bottleneck, is your modem. When's the last time you upgraded your modem? Chances are you're probably still using last generation modem, and that's basically the DOCSIS 3.0 modems. The latest one is the DOCSIS 3.1 modems. The DOCSIS 3.1 tells you that it's able to handle Wi-Fi 6. Wi-Fi 6 is the next generation of internet speed. As you can see, the DOCSIS 3.1 could handle up to 10 gigabytes signal. It's got 32 channels up and 8 downstream channels. Now, they have a little chart back here, and it kind of shows you the difference in speeds between the previous generation modems and what's current at the DOCSIS 3.1. So we can see there's a huge performance boost in speed and the number of downstream and upstream channels. So what you want to do is upgrade your modem. Now, if you're renting a modem from the cable company, you can ask the cable company for an upgraded modem, and they should obligate you and give you the upgraded modem. And just make sure that cable supplier could handle DOCSIS 3.1. Most of them can now because they're all upgrading those systems. But the modem is another key ingredient into increasing your internet speed. The main item that you're going to want, once you get the wiring situation set up in your modem, is the router. This is the key. This is the latest generation router, and the number is AX6000. This is TP-Link, but all the later generation routers are going to have at the back of the model. Previous generations, remember the AG and AC. AC being the last generation model, or that's right around 2019, 2020. Wi-Fi 6 model, or the AX models, they came out in latter part of 2020 and 2021. Now you're going to hear about Wi-Fi 6 quite a bit, and that is the latest generation routers. Now, we're not talking about an incremental evolution in router technology. This is a whole new ball game. So Wi-Fi 6 is going to be the router that you're going to have to shoot for. They got different price structures on the Wi-Fi 6 models. The better ones, you're going to see, is going to have more antennas. It's going to have greater range and greater speed. So you can see this Wi-Fi 6 router right here. You can see it handles 4.8 gigabytes of 5 gigahertz and 1.5 gigabytes of 2.4 gigahertz speeds. So we're not going to get into the technical mumbo jumbo. I'm just going to let you know what the Wi-Fi 6 router does. This particular router, the TP-Link one, is going to give you 4 times greater performance than last generation AC type modems. It's got 4 times larger capacity than the previous generation routers. In other words, it can handle more devices at the same time. It's going to offer you at least 3 times more internet speed to your various devices. It's going to have greater range than the previous generation router. This TP-Link AX6000 could handle up to a 5,000 square foot house. So with this router, you really don't need a mesh tap system or repeaters, router signal repeaters. Now, we're going to look at is why your internet speed is slowing down, and it gets slower and slower every year. The reason why is that as you go out and purchase newer devices or appliances or tech toys that's connected to your Wi-Fi, it's going to start bogging down your Wi-Fi system. Now, I took a look through the TP-Link website how many devices are hooked up into my system right now, and it's right around 35 to 40 wireless devices are hooked up. Now, in the past, we're probably only hooking up maybe a computer, cell phone, tablet, maybe streaming a Comcast or Amazon Fire or something like that. But nowadays, we have a lot more devices that's hooked into internet connections. Let me just go over some things that just came across the top of my mind. We all got cell phones that wirelessly, once we're at home, got tablets, computers, smart TVs, Blu-ray players, all your streaming devices like Roku, Fire, Comcast, your wireless printers, your home alarm system or security systems. Each one of those devices on your windows and doors and cameras, they all connect into your wireless internet system. Smart appliances are becoming more and more common. Your home appliances are connecting to your internet connection, letting you know conditions and status of the equipment. How about your EV cars? These cars are updating constantly. They're hooked up to your internet system and let you know what's happening. You could control features on your car through the wireless connections. Built-in timers or your thermostats, audio-video receivers are all hooked up into the internet nowadays. So anything that you have that's connected into your wireless network is demanding signal from your router. Now, not all of these items are asking for data from your router all at the same time, but most of them are constantly polling the main bases and polling the router back and forth, or the home base or the router itself for data. And as you add more and more items to your system, your internet speed is going to be clogged down. Now, that's just your house. How about your neighbor's house? Or if you're in an apartment complex, you got all the neighbors around you. All of them have these 20, 30 wireless devices all streaming through your own house trying to look for its router. So that's why your internet connection is starting to bog down, and this is why you got bottlenecks, and this is why you probably want to start upgrading your system. What's good about the Wi-Fi 6 routers is that they are able to sniff out your wireless devices only and eliminate your neighbor's devices and all extraneous wireless data feeds out there. So it's going to zero in on your devices only, and it's going to assign priorities to your devices depending on how you set it up. Like you may want your gaming device to have a higher priority than your audio streaming device. You can set all that up through your router system. Now you may hear some tri-band routers out there that's currently being marketed. So right now, this is a 2.4 and a 5 gigahertz, so it's 2 bands. You got a third band that they just released, it's the 6 megahertz. And what's nice about the 6 megahertz is that there's not too many wireless devices assigned to that band yet. So it's pretty much wide open, so you can have better performance, better speed. The downside is that once you go higher up than the 2.4 gigahertz, So if you go to 5 gigahertz and 6 gigahertz, the range becomes less and less because these higher gigahertz signals cannot pass through walls or through barriers. So what's going to happen is that the distance gets shortened. You're going to have faster speeds, but it's going to be a shorter distance. The reason why my Wi-Fi 6 cell phone was slower than the regular modem is because the TP-Link router that I have assigned a 5 gigahertz signal to my cell phone. So at the shorter distances, yes, my cell phone is going to be blazing fast compared to the regular modem, but when I went further away, like in my backyard, as we know that the 5 gigahertz cannot go through walls or through barriers that good, and that's why my signal dropped out lower. Now I want to also go over why the Wi-Fi 6 modem is better than last generation's AC or the further generations back. A good example is, let's say that we have a 4-lane highway. So we got cars moving pretty quickly down the 4 lanes, but as you add more entrances into those 4-lane highway, more cars are going to start entering into the highway. As more entrances get added to that highway, things are going to start slowing down. You get more and more cars. You're going to have what's called a traffic jam. Then eventually everything's going to come to a stop and you got a bottleneck. Imagine Wi-Fi 6 as having 16 lanes of highway. And you got all these entrances that come into the highway. And with 16 lanes, you're pretty much going to be moving at full speed all the way down as much as the capacity holds. So that's why Wi-Fi 6, you're going to have greater speed, greater range, and it's going to have higher capacities. So it's going to be able to handle more and more cars at the same time. And that's pretty much a generalization on a Wi-Fi 6. Greater speed, greater range, and it's going to be able to handle more devices at the same time simultaneously. So that's a quick layman's term on Wi-Fi 6 type modems. All right, here's the setup that I'm currently using. We have the cable coming from the wall going into the modem, and then from the modem we have the line coming out going into the router. And this is the wire that we're using Cat 7 cables. They're the flat cables, so I can run them underneath the doors and all that. They're pretty handy to route around things. But this is the modem that we're using, ARRIS Surfboard SB8200. You see the blue light here? That tells you that the modem is receiving the DOCSIS 3.1 signal. And here's some specifications on the ARRIS modem. The main thing is that this is what I had before, the Surfboard SB6141. And as we can see, it's doing 343 megapixels per second. Whereas this newer modem, which is DOCSIS 3.1, and that's able to handle up to 10 gigabytes per second. So this is a pretty huge increase from what I've been using before. And I suspect a lot of other people has not upgraded the modem in a while. So when we're dealing with all these wireless connections, we need more through output. And the older modems just does not live up to the task, especially since that now you could get 1 gigabyte per second subscription to your internet provider. But, I chose the ARRIS. You could also have the Motorola modem. DOCSIS 3.1 is equivalent. It's just matter of preference or whatever's the least expensive, that's what you get. But you can see it does 10 gigabytes per second, and it's got 32 channels. Now, the Cat 7 cable that's coming out of the modem is going directly into my router, which is sitting on a pedestal here. And this is the TP-Link Wi-Fi 6. It's a pretty powerful unit, and you got the USB-C ports. But what's good about this is that I chose this because it has 8 Ethernet connections here, so it could supply signal directly from your modem to whatever's hardwired connected to this router. So it's got 8, most of them are like 4 connections, so you could expand it in the future. And you've got the 2.5 gigabyte input here, and then power. And we've got 7 cables coming out. I got 3 hooked up right now. One of them is going directly to my desktop computer. One's going to a Philips hub. And then the third one's going to my UMA Internet Protocol telephone system. And all the rest of my equipment is handled wirelessly. As you can see, this is a relatively large size unit. I have it on a stand, which is just fine for my applications. You can hang it on a wall, or you can put it on a shelf that's more central to your house. But this is a good location for me, and it handles all my wireless needs without a problem. Okay, we're at the corner of the lot, so you can see how far away from the house. Probably 150 175 feet away, and I just ran a speed test on it, and we got 60.5 megapixels download speed, and it looks like we're at about 3.4 upload speed. So that's pretty good. You can see we're going through bushes, we're going through decks, we're going through furniture, we're going through a doorway, walls. So we're going through a lot of things just to get to this point way over here at the corner of the yard. And you can see what we're doing. So it's not too bad. Before out here, when I tried to do it with the old setup, I couldn't get a signal. So it's that simple. So we got enough signal out here to even stream some high definition content. So now we'll try a different location. We'll try the second floor office, but we'll see what kind of speeds we're going to get there. On the second floor, we're usually getting something right around 30 at the best. So between 20, 30 megapixels per second. So we'll do that test next, and we'll compare that test with that desktop computer with the Wi-Fi 6 cell phone. Okay, now we're in the second floor office. So we got a floor between us, some doorway, some furniture. And you can see what kind of speeds we're getting. This is just regular ABGN modem, so it's not the Wi-Fi 6 modem. So we're getting 294 download and 23.9 upload. Comcast limits the upload speed to around 20 megapixels per second, so you're not going to get much more than that. But we can see how fast, what kind of speeds we're getting over here on the second floor level. Okay, so I just ran it using Wi-Fi 6 on a cell phone. You can see we got 409 megapixels download and 22.7 upload. Infinity or Comcast limits the upload speed to 20 megapixels per second, so you're not going to get much more than that. But you can see we had 409 download, and before the computer we're running at 300. So Wi-Fi 6 definitely gives you a little more signal strength. Okay, now we're running a Wi-Fi 6 internet speed test at the farthest corner of my house. We got a colonial 2-story, about 3,200 square foot. The Wi-Fi 6 modem is good for like 5,000 square foot house. So you don't need any repeaters or any mesh type of internet system. Just the one router is fine. And you can see we're running 216 download and 21.3 upload. This shows you that the Wi-Fi 6 router is doing its job. At this position before, we were getting between 15 and 20 download speeds. But you can see with the router, just by simply changing out the router and modem, we're at 216. Which is more than enough to do just about any type of work you need. You only need 25 megapixels per second for high definition streaming, and we're getting almost 10 times that strength. And here's the iPad at the far corner of the house. We saw the Wi-Fi 6. Again, the iPad looks like it's coming in at a stronger signal. We got that. It's a large antenna. I think the router is prioritizing the iPad over the cell phone for Wi-Fi signals. So this shows you how strong that router is. So we're running 400, and then the router input going into the router is 700. So that's not bad, for second floor signal strength. Okay, here's a spot before. This is where we're running into problems during the pandemic. We're only about 20, 25, 30 feet away from the modem. And at this point, I was feeding my TV set here. We're only getting 7 at the worst. But normally on a good day, we'll be getting right around 30 megapixels per second. And you can see with this new router in place, with the iPad, we're getting 538 download speed and 20.5 upload, which is pretty good. That's almost what the signal we're coming in. We're coming in at 700 megapixels per second, hardwired. So we're doing pretty good at this distance. So we're not going to have any more dropouts. Now, the iPad's got a huge antenna compared to the cell phone, but the cell phone is running off of Wi-Fi 6, and we're getting 469 and 18.3. So that tells you that any streaming devices hooked up here to the TV set is more than enough to run any type of high definition signals. So it shows you what simple swapping out modem and router and some cables could do. We're running, like I said, 700 megapixels per second we're subscribed to, and we're getting pretty close to that within 30 feet away from it. And if we see the upstairs, we're still getting pretty healthy signals from this router. So let me just summarize what we went over. I was able to increase my internet speed by about 10 times. I was averaging previously about 30 megapixels per second, and I was able to up to 300 megapixels per second, worst case. In other parts of the house, I was getting over 400. or 500 megapixels per second. This is just by doing 3 simple things. I switched out my cable to Cat 7. My modem has been upgraded to DOCSIS 3.1, and then upgraded my router to a Wi-Fi 6 router. You can tell Wi-Fi 6 router because the model number is going to end up AX. Previous models were like AC or ABGN. Now, in order to take full advantage of the Wi-Fi 6 router, you should have a Wi-Fi 6 enabled device. The Samsung S20 Plus phone that we're using is Wi-Fi 6 device. Most of the devices that's going to be upcoming this year and the following years will be Wi-Fi 6 enabled. But if you do not have a Wi-Fi 6 enabled device, that's fine. The Wi-Fi 6 routers are backwards compatible with devices that is not Wi-Fi 6 enabled. You just won't get the benefits of the Wi-Fi 6. You're still going to get faster speeds, longer distances, but the Wi-Fi 6 will be better than the normal devices. Now, I just want to point out that the iPad that we're using in comparison is running at 2.4 gigahertz, and the Wi-Fi 6 phone that we're using, the Samsung, is running at 5 gigahertz. So we know from previously that the 5 gigahertz signal is going to be stronger than a 2.4 gigahertz at shorter distances and line by sight. Now, as soon as we start moving further away and from the router, and then we start with obstacles like walls and staircases and furniture, we can see that the iPad with the 2.4 gigahertz was commanding more speeds than the Wi-Fi 6 enabled cell phone. And that is anticipated. The router has designated my Wi-Fi 6 cell phone to 5 gigahertz. I could switch it back manually in the router, but that's fine. I don't use cell phone in the house that much anyway. But I hope you like this video and maybe answer some of your questions on some of your internet issues at your own home. If you like this video, please like it and subscribe when you have a chance. Thank you for watching.